That's going to be that.
What do we think the center celebration is going to be?
Maybe just a fall on the floor. Just a
I don't think he's going to fall, honestly.
No, he might not.
He might get a doping sort of testing out and just sort of show everyone.
Whoa.
Get a massage. 15-40 anyway. And it's going to be a second serve.
I'm halfway through the point.
Okay, so it turns into a rally, which is not great news for Taylor, but most of his second serves will. I'm watching the rally now as they exchange forehands. Jannik just turning up slightly there. Backhand to backhand now. Now it's going to be on the Jannik forehand. Now Taylor has a big forehand. Could have done maybe slightly better with that one, but maybe I'm being harsh. Backhand to backhand. I thought that was going to go into the net, but it didn't. And that one didn't either. But that one does. And Jannik puts his hands to the air.
Quite subdued.
Yeah.
I mean, no drama here. He knew exactly from start to finish he was better than Fritz at every single aspect of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad, but it's true, you know.
I was like, there's no way he could have got beaten. I don't know how that could have happened with Taylor.
The only way, I guess, if it had gone to a fourth, right, and Sinner would have got, it would become physical, I guess, in some way. But...
Yeah, I still don't think Taylor makes it physical enough.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't really want to. I mean, the first two sets were done in an hour and 20 minutes. You know, Taylor, of course, doesn't want to make this physical until it gets to that sort of fourth or fifth set. Then it's like, okay, maybe. But by then, neither player would have expended a huge amount of energy.
Yeah.
And Jannik Sinner wins his second Grand Slam of the year. So him and Carlos share the slams. I wonder who's had the better year. Maybe Jannik.
Whether the slams, Jannik, yes.
Just the 4 slams. Obviously, he did slightly better at the 2 he didn't win, I guess.
Carlos got the Olympic silver, though. Let's not forget.
Carlos Olympic silver.
Yeah, but he also didn't play it, right?
Yeah, but that's got to be part of the year, right?
Yeah, I think it counts.
It has to be included in the conversation, but like obviously Jannik is the player of the year so far. Like, it's not close. I mean, consistency-wise, it's just not close, and they have the same amount of number of titles now. And now we have a Jannik Sinner seal hug. I think he might have even gotten a bit of a kiss from a rose on the cheek there, but I'm not sure.
Hug from who?
A big wet kiss from Canning Sky, says Brazy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think there was a kiss from Seal, yeah.
Jake still pushing the Morgan drum.
I mean, I'm not surprised, after he sealed the deal, Seal had to do something.
Damian, come on. You can do better than
I
that.
see what you now mean with Seal. Okay, so he's obviously nearby.
Seal, wow.
Seal looks more emotional than Jannik.
I mean, Alcaraz won Indian Wells and got a silver medal at the Olympics, Nurlan, but I mean, it's not a conversation. I agree.
I mean, that's two huge things.
Sealed with a kiss.
Hey.
Right. It's got to be the worst slam of the year, right?
Maybe. There's a standout matches on the men's side.
Yeah, I thought the women's was better, to be fair. But for men's, I mean, I would say it's probably not the case.
So Tiafoe Shelton. I've still got Cressy Hoinski from qualifiers in my head.
That was good. That was good, to be fair.
Yeah, just the drama.
Yeah.
What else? Sinner Medvedev didn't live up to expectations. I don't know how Tiafoe was because I didn't see much of that one, the Tiafoe Fritz semi. But that was sort of like just waiting to see them get beaten in the final.
What was the Evans 5-setter against Hatchnov?
Evans Hatchnov. Yeah. First round, I think that was. Well, I'm just trying to think back to the other slams. Wimbledon didn't have the final, but what else was going on? I guess we had Medvedev, Sinner, Alcaraz, Tiafoe.
I mean, that was a great match.
Yeah. The French Open and Australian Opens had some big 5-setters. Obviously, the French one in the final and also the semi-final. Yes, the French one definitely is ahead of this one. But just in general, yeah, it's a pity because the US Open, I would say, until maybe last year, was sort of the one that always sort of was the climax. It was always the best one across the year. But last year and this year has been both of them a bit underwhelming. And it was summed up by the two finals we had last year and this year. I mean, you Damian and Jack were with me a year ago. I remember us just putting your hands to your face with a lot of things that were going on the court that day.
Yeah, we expected a lot.
Yeah, you guys were more optimistic for a big final than I was last year. But this year, I think everybody would have just said, look, Jannik is winning this. Maybe 1 or 2 went in 4. Someone went in 3. Tim Henman was the outlier. Apparently, he went for. Jamie was telling me earlier that he went for Taylor Fritz to pull off the shock.
I mean, they needed someone to do it. Probably they just took some matches and his was the shortest.
And who's going to draw the short straw? Whatever. Okay, Tim, it's your turn. It's your turn to go. Because you can't have 10 pundits all going the same way.
Yeah, they needed some analysts to go for Fritz, and they just decided it was Henman. Like I actually think that might have happened.
Merlan's asking if Prime Federer can beat this Sinner on hard courts. It'd be a good game.
I'm sure he could. Very good.
Pretty good.
Yes.
That's a stupid question.
That's my answer.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, did Jannik Sinner play particularly impressively this event?
I mean, he dropped 1 set in the process as well. It's a bit of a joke.
That's quite impressive, though. It's almost like what Alcaraz did when he won the French, right? Not being at your best and winning the slam.
Like I mean, they can play at 85% now and still win, and it's impressive. But no one really came in and pressured him, like Medvedev for a while, maybe.
I think, to be fair, there was never really any super kind matchups. I don't think there was anybody that could. Medvedev maybe on his best day, but even then, it's like Sinner's kind of starting to get the better of him, and maybe Medvedev does come up with a game plan, but I still don't think it was an effective one to consistently beat Sinner. So I just don't think there was anybody who could have really bothered him.
You should probably watch some footage from the 2000s, Ghosty.
All right, peace out, guys. I'm going to head off.
All right, Jamie. Thanks very much. Speak to you soon.
Hi, Jamie.
Thanks, Jamie.
Bye.
See you later on. We needed a Cressy Sinner shake-up. That's what we needed. That's the guy that could have beat him.
I said it about a week ago that we needed Jannik to go out for the tournament to really take off, because it was at a point where we obviously had the dramatic 24 hours losing Alcaraz and Djokovic, and it did sort of take off for that little mini period. But you need one more of the big 3 to fall for it to really then go, okay, this could be, you could have Popyrin lifting the title in a week from now, Tiafoe, Fritz or someone else, Casper Ruud, even, a week ago last Sunday, he was still in the tournament. So, but that you just needed one more to fall for us to really be gripped by it. Now, we might not have had the most, we might have had a team Zverev type final, but it was gripping, even if it was a little low on quality, that final. So, but unfortunately, the longer Jannik stayed in it, the more of a procession it felt like it was going to become.
Yeah. I think I remember you mentioning that before Carlos and Novak went out actually as well. You were like, what happens if these guys go out? The narrative kind of fizzles away a little bit. Even talking about one of them, I think you said if even one of them went out, you kind of just lose that allure a little bit, because the stories just about that. This is my feeling as well. The stories just don't really develop. As you say, it was Sinner's to lose, and nothing really happened after that. There was no, nothing exceptionally exciting. Maybe I guess you could argue Fritz's run is exciting for some folk, but that was just a case of who's going to be the lamb to the slaughter. Basically,
Agassi looked very glum there. Looks like he's just watched that tennis match, actually. We had a bit of drama, of course, for those of you just joining us or didn't catch it, but we had a bit of drama in the third set when Taylor got a break and ended up serving for that third set. I then thought
that is generous. That is generous, calling it a bit of drama.
Yes, quite possibly. Yeah, I mean 3-5, but he's serving for it. He's more likely to serve it out than not serve it out. And then we go into a fourth, and although I still think Jannik would have prevailed, we would have at least been talking about a 4-set match rather than a straight set. Fairly processional. I mean, there was sort of 2 moments as well. I think they were 4-all, I think, were they, or maybe even 4-5, 4-5 in the second. Yeah, Taylor Fritz serving on serve. Yeah. So there was sort of moments, but the inevitability. He broke in the first game of the match as well, Jannik Sinner. So yeah, it was going to be a long, albeit short night, if that sort of makes sense for Taylor, and that's how it panned out. I don't really know in terms of the match what else to say, because it was exactly kind of as we feared.
Yeah.
What does this mean, Jack, for Taylor going forward? I mean, are we going to be looking at a guy who's going to just be remembered as being someone who had that great run in the US, at the midpoint of his career, or maybe sort of mid to sort of third point of his career, and someone who maybe picks up a few 1000s, but probably won't ever win a slam?
I mean, he did actually beat good players. I would say Ruud, Zverev, Tiafoe, all great wins. But yeah, pretty much what you said there. I would say he's not going to be the guy competing for slams consistently. He just doesn't. There's parts of his game that he could improve. I'm sure he's been trying to work on them. I just don't think the aspects of his game that are weak, it's not natural for him to fix them. Where there's other players who just it comes to them a bit more naturally. I just don't think he's going to be the guy that he's just got too many holes in his game. That's it. So it's just not going to happen again, I don't think.
Yeah.
I do now watch also footage of young Nadal, Ghosty, because what you're writing is very bold.
The other thing as well is I'm just thinking of Berrettini here, not in terms of how they play the game exactly, but someone who would actually reach slam finals on a fairly regular basis, or I think he got to one slam final, but regularly get to quarterfinals and semi-finals, if you like. And that sort of feels a bit Taylor-esque, and also someone who has weaknesses in his game and just probably never going to be able to get over them, and somebody such as a Novak or maybe a Rafa as well, in fact, definitely a Rafa, can expose. Yeah, he's looking pretty glum right now, but it's not like it's one of those sort of old age questions. Would you rather, get beaten like this or have a few chances that slip away? Well, probably rather get beaten like this. I mean, imagine he was serving for the match and still lost.
No, because if you're beaten like this, you're never going to be as good as that guy. You literally look at Sinner after a match like this, and I think Taylor already knew that beforehand. I don't think he's a particularly confident guy, actually, in terms of his ability to stick up to the best, and I guess that's also a problem. But I don't know. I mean, literally, there's not a single thing he does better than Sinner, and they play a reasonably similar style, which just makes this almost unwinnable for him. He's just far worse as a mover, far worse as a ball striker. He's not as dynamic. He's not as explosive. He's got no ability to improvise whatsoever. He literally cannot, just come out and mix things up, do something different. He's just going to play like he did in the semi. And in the semi, it was enough to kind of be steady, wait out Tiafoe. He couldn't wait out Jannik. I don't know. I mean, after this match, I think Taylor is just going to leave it thinking, I'm never beating this guy. Of course, I can beat him. He might beat him in a random match somewhere. But give him a final, even the best of 5 format, he's never beating this guy.
Yeah. And then Jannik Sinner, I think there is a discussion to be had who's had the better year, but we'll probably have that some other time between him and Carlos. And of course, that may well be rubber stamped either way in the coming weeks, particularly with the ATP finals, where Jannik would probably fancy his chances a lot more than Carlos, bearing in mind their abilities on indoor hard. I don't really know as well what else there is to say about Jannik, Jack, really, especially in terms of this 12 months that Phil Gross highlighted from post-puke Jannik until now, which will be about 10.5 months ago. His hardcourt prowess is unquestionable.
It's been absolutely unreal. Is that Gilchrist saying that he's had 55 wins and 5 losses on hard courts in the last year? Yeah, in the last 52 weeks.
He's probably looking at, so that would probably not include the US Open, of course, of last year when he lost to Zverev, but pretty much from that day onwards. Yeah, 55-5. And I'm just thinking about, can we wonder if we can name those 5 losses on a hard court? Well, Carlos Alcaraz, Indian Wells.
Yeah.
He lost to, who did he lose to recently in Canada?
Rublev,
yeah, in Canada, yeah. The other 3.
Novak as well. Novak. He lost to Novak at the Tour finals.
Of course, Novak Tour finals, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's lost just 2 hardcourt matches this year, if that's what you're looking for.
And then, no, we're looking for 5.
Carlos in Indian Wells.
So then the other, we're still missing some from last year, are we then?
Yeah. There are just 2 this year.
The other 2 were from last year then. Because he didn't clean up pretty much in.
He lost to Djokovic at the ATP finals. He lost to.
Yeah, we got that one.
Did he lose in Shanghai?
Shanghai to Shelton.
Shanghai Shelton. That's one we're missing.
I don't know what the time frame was for Gil. I mean, he lost to Lajovic in Cincinnati. He lost to Zverev at the U.S. Open.
No, after that.
There was one other one. Was there not?
I don't think so then, because he won Beijing. He lost to Shelton in Shanghai. He withdrew in Paris, and then at the ATP finals he only lost to Novak. So and Vienna, of course, as well. He won. So.
Yeah, I can. Maybe he's including the Zverev loss.
I mean, he must have included the Zverev loss. Honestly, I don't really see how. I mean, in Paris-Bercy, he did not lose, Nurlan. He withdrew because of the stupid scheduling.
Yeah.
So
it's been unreal this year, obviously, but I think even just looking at this year rather than the 52-week stretch.
I think this year is much better, yeah. Just look at that, yeah.
Literally just 2 losses.
Yeah, but I understand why we look at the line in the sand as being 52 weeks, because there was a dramatic upturn in what he was doing against Medvedev and Djokovic, those 2 players.
Yeah.
One that basically just changed the narrative entirely, and the other one was like, oh, on his best day, him and Novak, it's 50-50, which in history only 3, 4, 5 players probably been able to say.
Yeah, I mean, the end of last year obviously was unreal. Just absolutely took off. But I would say, it's been better this year. It's just been like
more consistent.
Just like exactly. He looks unflappable. Just looks like he comes onto court and he's so assured of what he needs to do, and he can just execute every shot he needs to play. It's unreal.
Crazy. I don't think Draper not winning Wimbledon in his career will be related to pressure.
Yeah, we'll have to wait to see how it pans out. But we're sort of predicting the future, and who knows? I mean, he might have a day when he chokes there, and wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, but if he doesn't win Wimbledon, it's not going to be due to pressure. It's going to be because the other players are a bit better, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, well, as I say, there's probably not much more else to say about the match. Thanks for joining us. Jack there at the end, Damian intermittently throughout, everyone else in the live chat as well. Make sure you give these guys a follow on the socials, at Damian Kust, at @ontheline_Jack. And I'm sure we'll be catching up again soon throughout the Davis Cup and Asian swing, and then the indoor European part of the season. I always feel a little bit post US Open because it's a long time until Australia, and I love the 3 slams coming in fairly quick succession. Of course, this year we had the Olympics as well. I also find the Asian swing a little bit more difficult to watch, bearing in mind it starts at like 3 a.m. and finishes at 11 or something like that. But
main tour events don't really start at 3 a.m.
I mean, I'm often watching a final at like 11 a.m., aren't I, in Europe?
Yeah, a little even like maybe further up in the day. But the main tour events don't really begin like this. The challengers in China, they started like 4 a.m. But the main tour events, they move it up a little bit. Of course, in the States, it's really tough to watch them. But in Europe, I think, well, it's perfectly fine.
Okay, well, we'll have that debate some other day as well. Just that sometimes if you're working, it's a little trickier to give out. As I see Andre Agassi.
I mean, if you're a tennis fan, you cannot be working, basically. Being a tennis fan is a full-time job.
Jannik Sinner, they're just checking the front of the trophy. I don't know if it was to check something in particular, but anyway, he lifts the trophy aloft. Andre Agassi handing it over, of course, a former US Open champion himself and also a former number 1. And Jannik Sinner's weeks at number 1 he may well be ahead of. How many weeks has Carlos had at number 1? in his career. And Jannik, I reckon they're probably quite close, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jannik, despite having a less glittering a career until now, might have, because Carlos at number one doesn't feel like it was very long. He got a year-end number one, didn't he? I think 2 years ago, 2022. So he might be ahead of him.
Alcaraz is ahead. Yeah, Alcaraz is ahead.
Oh, is it still quite comfortable? Is it?
Yeah, 36 weeks to 13 weeks.
Oh, okay. So it's quite a big gap there, a bit bigger than I thought. All right. Anyway, as I said, that brings us to a close. And thanks for joining us, and we'll speak to you soon. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.